Health regen in Infinite Warfare has sparked a lot of debate since the game came out. For one, it's noticeably slower than it's been in prior Call of Duty games. But why is this? As it turns out, there's two ways to increase your health regeneration without using weapons. Those two ways being the Nano Shot tactical item and the Mercs infusion trait. So if there were any buffs to health regen, this would render these two items more or less worthless. With that said, I'm going to be covering health regen in depth in this video. I'm mainly going to focus on what exactly the Nano Shot does, but I'll also be covering health regen on its own, as well as how the infusion trait functions. So if you're like me and you try to reach max prestige in every Call of Duty game you play, chances are you've probably not used the Nano Shot tactical item very much. The reason, of course, is because it's unlocked at level 55. So unless you decide to use a permanent unlock on it, you're only going to get to play with it very briefly before you prestige and thus lose it. Before we can understand the effects of the Nano Shot, we first need to talk about standard health regen. I was playing the Infected game mode to try and get some clips for an upcoming Special Ops Challenge help guide. I ran into a player who just so happened to have his mic on. He recognized me, so I asked him if he'd be willing to help me test a few things. And he was definitely more than willing. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to Dacing Whale. I've also linked his Twitter in the description. So I'll be testing health regen here with the Type 2 assault rifle. At this range, you can see it's a 5-shot kill. Now knowing this, if I shoot my enemy 4 times, he'll be at the lowest health possible. Now measuring from as soon as that 4th shot hits, it takes 3.1 seconds for your health to even start regenerating. That's actually a long time. And that's just to start the healing process. Now if we measure from as soon as the healing process starts, until he's fully healed, you can see that it takes 2.2 seconds. So in total, if you're near death in this game, it'll take a whopping 5.3 seconds to fully heal. And this, my friends, is why it feels like an eternity to regenerate health in this game. It actually is an eternity. This is also why you seem to die instantly during some gunfights. If you take even the slightest amount of damage from one enemy, chances are someone else is going to finish you off before the health regeneration process even begins to start. Now let's take a look at Mercs' infusion trait. The trait description simply reads, regenerate health faster. Now that's pretty vague, so let's examine just how much faster it is. Using the same testing methods as before, we can see that the health regen actually starts at 2.4 seconds while using the infusion trait. Remember, with no bonuses to health regen, it took 3.1 seconds to start. So right off the bat, there's definitely a noticeable difference. Now measuring from when the healing starts until fully healed, it only takes 1.1 seconds. Again, with no bonuses at all, it was 2.2 seconds to become fully healed. So this time is cut in half with the infusion trait. The fact remains, however, that it still takes a whopping 2.4 seconds after sustaining damage to initiate the healing process. So how about with the Nano Shot tactical item? If you've never seen the effects of this item before, once the enemy injects the shot itself, they'll begin to glow with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze type effect. You can clearly see if someone is utilizing the Nano Shot based on this Super Saiyan type aura. The entire effect lasts for 5.2 seconds, which is quite a long time. It's not like Reactive Armor, where it'll go away after a certain amount of bullets are absorbed. It'll either last the entire duration of 5.2 seconds or until you die. So the first thing to note here is perhaps the most amazing feature of the Nano Shot. Health regeneration is instant. The moment the secret ooze is injected, health regeneration starts. There's no more waiting 3.1 seconds or even 2.2 seconds. The process begins immediately. To become fully healed, it takes exactly 1 second. Now this is obviously comparable to the infusion trait, albeit just a tiny bit faster. But here's where things get interesting. As I mentioned, the duration of the Nano Shot is a whopping 5.2 seconds. This rapid health regeneration stays constant the entire time. This means that you can essentially eat quite a few bullets before either dying or having the effect wear off. You can see that with a slow fire rate with the Type 2, it's virtually impossible to kill my enemy due to the rapid health regeneration effect. Now here's where I think people may misunderstand these results. Obviously, this looks incredibly overpowered. In a game where health regen is so slow, this item may appear almost like God mode. But you have to take into consideration the fire rate. Who shoots as slow as I am in these tests? Absolutely no one. I don't want people to see these findings and instantly scream overpowered and call for a nerf of the Nano Shot. But let me just prove my point here. The normal time to kill at this range with the Type 2 assault rifle is 0.300 seconds. And that's with no Nano Shot, mind you. He does still have the infusion trait equipped, but obviously he's dead before it even considers activating. So 0.300 seconds. Now let's look at with the Nano Shot active. 0.317 seconds. That 0.17 second difference is quite literally one frame. It's so small, I have to slow my clip down to the slowest amount possible to even notice it. In essence, the time to kill is virtually the same. In an actual gunfight where both players are shooting at their maximum fire rates, Nano Shot will do diddly squat for you. So this is not overpowered, nor is it even close to being considered overpowered. Now with that said, it still has its uses, which I'll discuss in just a moment. But before that, I just wanted to mention Mercs' Reactive Armor Payload. I'm sure most of you have seen your enemies use this at one time or another. But if not, they turn into a burnt marshmallow and become completely blackface. Reactive Armor can absorb exactly 7 bullets from the Type 2 assault rifle. This doesn't seem like much, but it's definitely noticeable in the time to kill department. If you utilize the Nano Shot as well as Reactive Armor, you can absorb even more bullets. In fact, if you pace your bullets at a slow fire rate as I did earlier, this makes the combo look even more overpowered. Again though, this is not how an actual gunfight unfolds, so try not to get your knickers in a twist. Nothing is overpowered here. As mentioned though, Reactive Armor and Nano Shot will definitely boost your survivability, but it's mostly due to the Reactive Armor. The time to kill with this combination is now 0.817 seconds in a real full fire gunfight. Remember, the Nano Shot time to kill was 0.317 seconds. So with Reactive Armor included, you can essentially survive for double the length of time, which is incredibly helpful with such a quick time to kill. If you combine all these health regen aspects, including Reactive Armor and 2 Nano Shot tacticals, and you put yourself into what I consider to be a fake gunfight where you just tap fire, you can see just how ridiculous this can become. I threw a lot of numbers at you during my testing, so let me just combine them all into one table for a quick glimpse at the overall effects of health regen. As you can see, the time to fully heal from when you're on the brink of death with no bonuses is a whopping 5.3 seconds. Mercs' infusion trait can decrease this considerably to 3.5 seconds, but it's the Nano Shot that reigns supreme. The health regen effect is instantaneous, and it only takes a mere 1 second to fully heal. So we've seen the incredible effects Nano Shot has on health regen, but just how practical is this in a true match? It's more or less hit or miss. The best approach would be to inject the Nano Shot prior to entering a gunfight. That way, if you engage in an enemy that doesn't melt your dick off instantly, you'll be able to essentially come back at full health for round 2. The question is, of course, how often does that actually happen? In most gunfights, you either kill your enemy or you die. Very rarely in Infinite Warfare do you get to walk away for a breather and then come back for round 2. The only situations I can see this happening in are long-range shootouts. If you see someone across the map, he may try to tap fire you, and it's in this scenario where the Nano Shot can shine. If you've already got it active and your enemy is burst firing you at a great range, your health will essentially remain at full during the 5.2 second duration of the Nano Shot, and this can definitely help you win gunfights. Of course, the other aspect where Nano Shot shines is engaging multiple enemies in a short time frame. Obviously, if you encounter more than one enemy at once, Nano Shot won't help you. However, if you activate Nano Shot, sustain damage, but win the first gunfight, it only takes 1 second to become fully healed. If you then encounter another enemy who expects you to be at low health, he'll be sorely disappointed to find you at full capabilities thanks to the Nano Shot. So yes, in certain scenarios, the Nano Shot will save your life. But in no circumstances will you find those incredibly overpowered scenarios I showed during my testing. No real enemy is going to sit there and fire as slow as possible at you. If you didn't deduce this for yourself yet, I would not recommend running the Nano Shot with Mercs' infusion trait. It may seem like a good combination, but in actuality, The Nano Shot completely overrides Mercs' infusion trait when both are active. That's not to say you can't run these two together, because obviously the Nano Shot is a one-time use, and it only lasts for 5.2 seconds. So the infusion trait is still helpful when you're not using the Nano Shot. But if both are active at the same time, it's simply overkill, and the Nano Shot's effects completely take over. Instead of running the Merc rig, I would recommend using Warfighter. If you equip his resupply trait, you can have yourself an endless supply of Nano Shots at your disposal. With this, each and every kill you make will drop a scavenger-like pack that replenishes one of your Nano Shots. If you equip 2 to begin with, you can inject these at every given chance you can throughout a match. Again, this is by no means overpowered. I'd say 9 times out of 10 you're still going to get melted in the normal time to kill, as my testing showed. It's only in those specific scenarios where Nano Shot will become noticeably effective, such as at long ranges, or when you do have that 1 second window of opportunity between finding your next enemy to fully regenerate your health. If you take into account that you'll also likely die a lot trying to re-inject yourself over and over, this can often be more hassle than it's worth. I just wanted to make this perfectly clear that this item is properly balanced as it currently stands. And that, as they say, is that. Is the Nano Shot useful? Definitely. Is the Nano Shot overpowered? Not in the least. I'd recommend using a permanent unlock token on this myself, even if it's just so you can toy around with it for a bit. In the right scenario, this Secret of the Ooze can turn the tide of an otherwise impossible gunfight.